Mm-hmm. 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 Come on. Mm-hmm.
Hi, welcome to week 3 of Chuck Chat. I told you last week we were finally getting our hair salons and nail salons open here in Central Florida. I was able to go get my Tom Cruise haircut. As you can see, I don't have a big mop anymore.
Yeah.
Alexie got her nails done.
Got the nails done,
Yeah.
got the hair done.
And we're back, and Jessica didn't have to get anything done. She looks wonderful.
Thank you.
Today we're at Zen, and Zen is a brand that we own of luxury apartments. That we trademarked it, and it's just a really cool, it stands for Zest, Energy, Nirvana, and a really cool apartment complex. We've got massage, we've got facials, a sauna, steam room, and it's a really nice concept, a relaxing concept. And we built this a couple years ago, and we sold it earlier this year to CBRE. They were a great buyer. It was great doing business with them. So we asked Jessica to join us today, and Alexie's here, and we're going to talk about how Unicorp got into the apartment business.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us how you got into the apartment business? What made you jump into apartments?
The first apartment complex we did was actually a mixed-use development, so it's on top of retail. And when we built Baldwin Park back in 2007, we built the apartments above the retail. And it was the look we were going for. We'd never done apartments before. I had experience because I rented before, and I had experience because I was a home builder. So we built Baldwin Park, tremendous success. And then after Baldwin Park, when we sold that, we built a big project in Virginia, West Broad Village.
Right.
And we did several hundred apartments there, and we actually did that during the recession. And the apartments were the savior of the project because the apartments rented up when retail was doing poorly. So that's how we got our start, and now we're pretty busy with them.
And Jessica, you've been through the recession with apartments, and you said that it actually went pretty well.
Yeah, it
right?
didn't really affect us too much. I mean, basically, when the recession hit, a lot of people were losing their homes, therefore looking for apartments. The biggest hit that we got was a little bit of dip in occupancy, and then rents. We weren't really increasing rents too much, so that's kind of where it leveled out. No, we didn't have to decrease, so we just kind of all leveled out. Renewals weren't getting increases, rents were kind of just staying stable. People were still coming in. We had to change some of our qualification guidelines. Initially, we didn't accept people with foreclosures, or it had to be at least 6 years. And then when that came about, we had to kind of revise our qualification guidelines. But I feel like it's kind of it's a bulletproof industry.
Right.
So
I think even today,
Yeah.
Will that be the same? Yeah.
Well, I think so, because a lot of we're building a lot of apartments right now, and people have said, well, how do you think apartments are going to do? And I think a lot of the people who were going to make home buying decisions, they've been out of work for a while, are going to decide, maybe I just rent. And if you can rent luxury like this, it's a nice alternative.
I agree. 100%.
So for everybody who doesn't know us, we got to introduce Jessica more formally. So Jessica, what is your experience with multifamily? And
I've been in the industry, for 20 years, and what do? I work for Unicorp.
If I could, under her name, I would put Jessica Rockstar.
Thank you.
Because she runs all of our apartments that we build. We've got 8 different apartment projects, I think, going this moment. And she handles the lease up.
Yeah, go through the development, through the lease up, and then hiring the management staff, managing the properties, overseeing the full operations of the communities, and the sale process.
But even like the theme, the logo, the interiors,
marketing,
I mean, all of it. It's a full package.
The outing, the social events. And, I'll tell you, I have a home. And recently, we brought somebody on new to Unicorp, one of my daughter's friends, and I helped her go out and look at apartments. And I gotta say, I was completely disappointed by the response. They wouldn't, we had an appointment, they showed up an hour late. The response we would get.
No, it's shocking.
It's amazing. And people wouldn't return phone calls and different things like that.
It happens.
So how do you, because you do a great job for us, what is your philosophy?
The best thing is to hire good people. You have to hire good people. If you hire the right people, in the industry just alone, people are going to lease where they feel most comfortable. And they'll lease for your staff versus your product in a heartbeat. If they come in, they feel welcome. They feel you're using their name. You're taking your time with them. You're not rushing them out the door. You're really trying to find the apartment that fits for them and making them feel like part of the family. They're going to lease here versus the community down the street.
Like they feel at home as
exactly.
soon as they walk in.
And they're greeted with a smile. It's the little things, and it's like always back to basics. And I feel like sometimes people get very comfortable and they don't remember that. And that's when you get the experiences that you get sometimes when you go to other communities. But I think just hiring the right people, hiring the right staff in general. But then you also have to transition that to why they're living here too. Because yeah, you get them while they're in the door, but how do you keep them? Right. And that's when it turns into keeping our resident events and making people feel involved. And when they walk in, you know their name, you know their apartment number. When they call for a service request, they don't have to tell you their address. And those are the things that make people feel special. You know their kids' names, their dogs' names, you know. So
yeah, that would be really special.
It makes a big difference.
And you got to remember, I mean, we know as we lease apartments, they're tight-knit communities.
Yeah.
When you buy a single-family home, sometimes you don't ever know your neighbors. But here, you interact so often
Passing
with people.
through the hallways.
You share a pool. Yeah,
Yep.
The whole community shares a pool. And so it's important for it to feel like home in the community.
Absolutely.
I met one of our residents here when we opened a long time ago. And she told me, she goes, Chuck, I just love this place. This is my home.
Yeah.
And she goes, I just feel like this is my family here now.
Yeah.
And it's important to make people feel like they're part of the family.
It is. That's what's going to separate us from all the competition, because in our market, there's apartments coming up everywhere. And that's kind of what separates us. And then on top of, you know, not just the staff that you have here, us as a management company, as a developer, you're very involved with all the projects as far as making sure everything is placed and making sure that we have the proper amenities. And I think your insight and you actually caring about your properties and your product that you're delivering to these people makes a huge difference too.
Mm-hmm.
And we all three went on a trip recently and toured Dallas and saw what they're doing and, you know, trying to stay on the front edge of new design and technology. And it makes a difference because people today know what technology is out there and you have to provide it. Speaking of opposite of technology, guess what used to be on the grounds where we sit here today?
What's that?
It's on the Grand Cypress Golf Course.
Yes.
This was a landfill.
Oh.
And I had the opportunity to buy it and dug up everything that was in it because there was highway debris from when I-4 was built. So there was tires and concrete and wood.
Wow.
And so we dug it all out and got rid of it, brought new dirt in, compacted it, and then built this apartment complex. And it was crazy at first when I got prices. It was like $4 or $5 million. People giving me prices to remove it, and so I just hired loaders myself and got the whole thing done for $1 million.
Wow.
That's
And
great.
it's
so
such
cool.
a beautiful site we have here.
It
So
What
is.
did you buy this project for, this land for?
It was about $3.4 million.
And was it zoned for multifamily?
It was not, and
You had to go
I
through
had
the rezoning process.
I had to get it zoned, and you know, we showed the images of what we wanted to do, and we didn't have any opposition on this at all.
So what is a rezoning process like for people that don't know, that are just getting into?
Well, generally,
Commercial real
it's
estate or multifamily?
it's the alternative to hell. And, zoning is a nightmare. It takes forever. You have to go through meetings, DRC's Development Review Committee, TRG Technical Review Group. Then you've got to go to Planning and Zoning. Then you've got to go to the Board of County Commission. And there's comments along the way. There's obstacles along the way.
Community meetings, right?
Community meetings where the public comes out and tells you their opinion. It's a process of everybody's opinions. And eventually, you get hopefully approved. We've never, you know, knock on wood, Unicorp's never had a project turned down. But in our philosophy is if you bring the right thing to the community will embrace it, usually. You know, sometimes they fight you, and but the community at large is, you know, generally likes our projects. And like this one, it's so beautiful that if you do something nice, people will look at it and go, oh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. But in order to go through that whole process, you're spending money up front, right? Not knowing if it's going to get approved, like your renderings, your architecturals. I mean, do you have to spend that kind of money up front to show the vision of the project, or do you just use conceptual images for like your presentations?
You do. You have to go through the whole engineering process, and at the same time you go through the architectural process. So you can easily be $1 million into it.
Without an approval.
Without an approval.
For the
You
rezone.
want to get a read from the governmental officials of, you know, do they look like they're going to support it. You don't want to haphazardly just spend money like that. But it's a process, and that's why, you know, the development business is a risk business.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a high reward business too. These projects are very expensive, and you can make a good return if they're done properly.
What is your timeline like on the projects from when you purchase the land, go through rezone, planning, construction? What does someone get into?
It's a long process. Whenever we look at when we have to send the dollars out the door before they come back in, it's about a year of planning and architectural and permitting. It's a year and a half of construction, 2.5 years, and then a year to stabilize, 3.5 years.
Wow.
And then if we're going to sell them, some we sell, some we keep, then it's another 3 to 6 month process. So the day you send those dollars out the door, it's generally 3.5 to 4 years before they come home.
Yeah.
And so what are your profit margins like then? It must be really worth it to hang in there that long.
If you send $20 million out the door, you're hoping that those $20 million bring back 20 million friends. So hopefully it doubles. But yeah, it's not always like that. Sometimes it's better. Here it was better. Sometimes it can be a little worse, but the returns have to be good. It's just so much money to do these deals that you need to make significant returns, and you need enough spread in case something goes wrong. You know, luckily everything's going right, but you have to plan for that day when, you know, you may not, you know, do well, and if your margins get compressed, you're still profitable.
And how do you both figure out how many units should go on a project? How many buildings you're going to do?
We capitalize.
Exactly. Well, Jessica's right. We capitalize.
Let's make the most amount of money, of course.
Exactly.
You know, there's formulas on how many units you can fit on an acre, and we try to fit every single one of them on the acre.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like this project's about 13 acres.
Yeah, we have 258 units.
13.7 or something like that?
Yeah, so 258 units. I generally want to do as many as we can until Jessica says that's too many. Like O-Town, our O-Town project, we have 1,000 units.
900.
900 units. And
I remember when it was 1,800.
1,600.
we would have had to do high-rise construction, and unfortunately, high-rise construction is so
The cost.
expensive right now. We couldn't make the numbers work,
Yeah.
so we brought the buildings down. And we're not building 900 units at once because Jessica said we can never lease that many units at once. So we're going to do 3 stages of 300.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the most incredible
It is.
apartment
Absolutely.
complex.
And I think phasing them in
ever.
too, also we can make adjustments based on, you know, what's needed. Maybe, you know, our unit mix on the first building, the first 300 units, we did more 1 bedrooms, but we see the 2 bedrooms are leasing faster. So we have that, you know, we can adjust that as the time goes on. Yeah. And where O-Town's located, you're right in the middle of iDrive where all the apartment communities are.
We'll talk about Glass House, some of the amenities of the clubhouse that we're
Oh
doing.
gosh, they're so awesome. We have
And Glass House is at O-Town West.
yes,
Which is on Palm Parkway, Darrell Carter, Southwest Orlando,
Yep.
for everybody who doesn't know yet.
Turkey Lake Road. The clubhouse, I mean, well, first of all, the pool is stunning. We have a full service restaurant that's going in there, a 2-story fitness center. We have a steam room, a sauna. We're going to have virtual reality, a full game room. We have fitness equipment around the property, a walking trail, a dog park, several fire pits.
Lake house.
A lake house, yes. We actually, with a separate pool, we'll have canoes and paddle boards. So it's
So
going to be a
someone-
complete lifestyle.
So since it's going to have a restaurant, can someone get food delivered to their room or sit at the pool on a Saturday and have a margarita?
That's the plan.
Do I need to lease that?
It is going to be.
You know, you need to operate it. You didn't know that yet.
Like, wait, what?
It's going to be so cool.
Who's running
is.
this restaurant?
Yeah, the pool area alone with the individual cabanas, having the restaurant there with service out to the pool area, the whole front of and the back part of the clubhouse is floor to ceiling glass. Actually, the apartments are going to offer floor to ceiling glass windows in the living room. It's going to be a pretty awesome project.
Well, and the weekends we have DJs come in and play music by the pool.
Oh, gosh.
Chuck's the DJ.
Chuck used to be a DJ, by the way.
He's the DJ at the pool. You can see Chuck.
In the first episode.
I was a DJ.
He was a DJ.
But I just think
It is, the whole environment is going to be really cool. It's going to be a full lifestyle.
I was speaking to somebody the other day, and I was telling them about Glass House, and the conversation went, "Wow, you have to go to Miami to get cool things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Florida, Central Florida does not have a cool, hip environment that would offer these type of things. And I
We
think,
pulled renderings from Miami and like ideas from
We
Miami.
did. That's where we got the floor to ceiling glass
Yeah.
windows.
and I think
from,
it's going to
so.
be very successful because people who've moved from urban areas who
Yeah.
still want a little feel of that urbanism
Yeah.
are going to really like this, and it's going to have all the amenities of something urban. But it's just
It's
I think
really,
gonna
it's
be
not,
super cool.
there's nothing like it in Orlando. So that's going to be what sets it apart. I mean, there's tons of new
It's high
products.
end.
Absolutely.
So,
So
I mean, what's the price on something like this?
Great question. I was just
Yeah,
going to
like,
say.
well, first of all, what does it cost to build it?
Can you
and then
imagine-
how do you rent, like, what do you rent it for?
How much do you think the 3 buildings, but the first building is going to cost us with the clubhouse to build?
The clubhouse
many-
is
how many units are in-
35,000 square feet.
Really? 35,000 square feet? This clubhouse that we're sitting in
It's
is
10.
10,000.
Yeah, the clubhouse
So
is half the
3
size.
times this size.
Well, the clubhouse is
Oh
half
my
the
gosh.
size of a department store done with glass and floor to ceiling
Yeah.
finishes.
Right.
So,
So the cost of clubhouse and
In
the
the
first
first
building? How many
building.
units are in the first building?
300.
300 units.
Parking garage.
And parking garage. Parking garage is built into the building.
Into the
That's
building.
right.
so no more
Okay.
suspense.
I don't know.
$100 million bucks.
100 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
And luckily the loan's already approved.
Luckily.
Pre-coronavirus, it was approved.
Pre-corona, plug for Goldman Sachs. They stand behind us. They're a good
Oh, there
bank.
you go.
And,
Thank you, Goldman Sachs.
And Goldman's great. We're going to break ground on it next month.
Yes.
I'm super excited.
Yep.
You know, that's the one thing on these projects too that I want people to know is they're like children. I
Yeah.
fall in love with every one of them.
I do too.
And I hate selling. And you know, I had this old banker, Ed Davis, convinced me that every now and then you need to sell and do things, and it's like art though. It's like if you make a piece of art and you sell it, it's still your art.
Yeah.
It just has a new owner.
Yeah.
And I feel like that with the projects. As I sit here today, I love them. I love doing them. But as soon as they're finished, what do? We move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And now we love that one.
And
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites
It
still
is,
to
yeah.
this day.
I think
all
so,
the
too.
apartments
But
we've done.
projects
agree.
are like children. They grow up and they move away.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to give them away, not kids, but projects.
You're not giving the project
So,
away.
no, we're exchanging
Yeah.
for capital. But I'm just so excited about
It is.
Glass House, O-Town. We're doing another Zen right now in Michigan.
Yep.
And talk about that one for a minute. I mean, how cool is that? We're excited about all. That one's
All
cool.
of them. We have so many projects. Michigan's a whole new territory for us. It's a whole new market. So it's actually been interesting to learn. I'm from Orlando, so I know this market like the back of my hand. But the Troy market, it's right next to, what is it, the Somerset Mall, right?
Somerset, it's a mile down from Somerset.
Yeah, so completely different type of weather, but the product is amazing. I mean, it's 8 stories. We have a penthouse. All of the top tier amenities we actually have in Michigan. It's not common to have washer and dryers in the apartments, so we definitely have the washer and dryers covered.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so just very high end. I mean, I'm excited for that
And that
project.
was floor to ceiling glass. We did there, didn't we?
No,
No.
not floor to ceiling. It has large windows.
Large windows
yeah.
and tall ceilings.
Yeah, and then you have the glass. Well, it's like I don't know what the material is, but on the patios. So it's like the Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, the Romeo and Juliet balconies. So
It's just such a cool project, and I think it's the
nothing.
first one with the penthouse we've done.
Yeah, and it's not gonna. There's in that area in Michigan. It's gonna be like the newest thing there. So.
And that's a high rise. We built a development there that's, we bought the Volkswagen headquarters, remodeled it. It was
Yep.
43% occupied when we bought it. We're almost 100 now. We built about 100 and something thousand foot of retail, Yard House, Seasons
Yep.
52, Shake Shack, Fidelity, et cetera. And now we're adding how many apartments?
3. Oh gosh.
305 or something like that?
306.
Yeah, a little over 300
Yeah.
apartments, and it's high rise construction.
So all
It
your
is.
amenities are on
No, they're all on the first floor.
the first
we
floor?
wrap
Yeah,
it.
they're still on the first floor. There is on the
Even
first
the
floor.
pool?
The pool. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
The building
Yeah.
makes the shape of a 7.
It's a 7. Yeah.
And the pool and everything is
It's
in
right in
the
the center. Mm-hmm.
the elbow of the 7. And but it's a beautiful building, high rise, our first high rise.
It is.
And I'm really, really excited,
excited
about that.
for it, too.
So we're excited about all of our projects.
All of them.
They're-
We have a whole bunch.
they're all fun. But Jessica, you do an amazing job
Thank
running the
you.
apartments,
Thank
and
you.
it's been the most growth part of our business over the last 6 or 7 years. Our volume has gone up significantly
Yeah.
because we've added apartments which are high dollar, And when we mix the apartments with retail,
retail,
which
it
is
makes
what we're
a big
doing in
difference.
O-Town, it's great because you can truly live, work, play. And we
Yeah.
always say places that endure.
Yeah.
It adds a lot of value to commercial leasing.
I was gonna say it was a huge selling point for the apartments for Griffin,
Right,
for
to have
Drake.
the retail
Yeah,
and the
it was.
grocer and everything
Even
there.
even West Side and Venetian,
Right. But it goes
same
both
situation.
ways for us, for, when we're leasing retail space.
To say you have
we
access to the
We
apartments.
have a built-in customer by having, the apartments on site. It helps sell the.
And the
project
residents
overall.
use it all the
the
time.
time, I
They'll
know.
walk. Like if you go to Venetian, people are walking, taking their bikes, going to all the
Well,
restaurants
and they have the
and.
little golf carts that
Yeah.
you provided, which is so cool, right? You have the little golf
Little
carts that
cars.
people can rent or
We have
they're-
bikes.
Bikes.
Yeah, so
okay.
they're bikes with the baskets,
With
so
the
they can
baskets,
go
so they
through. Yeah.
So those are communal.
Yeah.
And they can take them to the shopping center,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
It is. It is the
That's
whole.
such a nice amenity.
Yeah.
So with all your amenities and everything that you offer and all the different projects, how do you determine your rent per square foot? Is that based on the market? Is it based on the amenities that
Both
you offer?
demographics, market, what amenities we're offering. You kind of add dollar signs based on, okay, well, we have, granite countertops and, in both the
That
bathroom
adds
and the
value.
kitchen, those add value. So, and the nice thing, with us is we're all involved. So we're not hiring a company to pick
Right.
out the interior finishes. Like you and I
Right.
literally sit down and pick out
And pick out the
everything. So
interior.
it makes a big difference.
And the
And I think
finishes
It
are
that's
has
a dollar
expensive
price.
taste.
Well, the finishes are important
Everything.
because when people are paying $2,000 a month for rent, they want nice things.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, that's how you're going to get that rent. That's how we're going to get the
You need
rents
to
that
have
we're
nice
looking at.
finishes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you can tell when you walk into, even just the quality of carpet, you can tell the difference between our carpet versus a lot of other places. The
Right.
carpet, and people notice that when they're walking in. So
Right.
And so, as we wrap up here, O-Town, I think we're going to be able to get at Glass House significant rent dollars. And it's because all of the amenities.
Absolutely.
And like I said, we'll have a DJ at the pool. And it reminds me of an old song, Let the Music Play. And so we will let the music play at Glass House.
Sing it. You're supposed to sing Let the Music.
play.
I
can't
don't
do
know the
that.
beat.
It's a
I don't
good
know it
song.
either,
It's
but
a
I'll-
good song. But we will let the music
I don't
play.
know.
there, and
You
it's
may have
gonna-
dated yourself, Chuck.
Hey, I know the Pitbull song. So we will be back next week and tune in.
Thanks.